Hello everybody, this is Greg from Acme High Performance again. Today I've got a simple one for you on the Mercedes ML430 chassis. This is going to be your ML320s, 350s, 430s, 500s, and ML55 AMGs, which are really cool. On these things, there's a couple of service things that have to be done from time to time. One of them is just a simple transmission filter. When you do this at home on your 7622 Mercedes-Benz transmission, that's going to be in, well, just about everything Mercedes-Benz, you are going to have a torque set. You're going to pull out all of these fasteners here. I like to keep my fasteners clean, my tools clean, my hands clean. So I go around and I clean each and every one of these guys up. You're going to need to clean the pan, obviously. New gasket, filter kit. You want to make sure that you get a pretty decent quality one. I'm going to do an oil change on this car too. So you're going to get to see in the next clip how the oil change is done. There's a whole bunch of seals in here too. You got to make sure you do them all, do them correctly. For your ATF, this Valvoline Max Life full synthetic ATF, they sell this stuff at Bi-Mart, and nobody carries it cheaper than those guys do. I don't understand how or why or whatever, but that's what to use. And then for your oil changes, also Bi-Mart. It's going to be way cheaper than any auto parts store that you're going to get any of the materials from. One of the things to note: when you get your used Mercedes-Benz, whether it's this one or C230, hi C230, I can see them in the glare out there. Whatever it is, if it has the 7622 transmission, 5-speed, or the later model 7-speed, we're talking 1998 and up. When you get your used Mercedes, the first thing you want to do is just drain the fluid, refill it. The bottom of the drain pan, there's a nice little plug right there. So you just drain it and then refill it with that Max Life stuff. It's going to take about a gallon. You'll need to order one of these. Do not do this job without one of these. Mercedes-Benz dipstick. You have to have one of these. You can Amazon it for like, I don't know, 15 bucks, 10 bucks, sometimes 7 bucks. And just look up how to use it, or maybe I'll put that in one of the videos. It's important to not break it when you put it in there. There's a couple of tricks to checking the fluid. Mostly what's going to happen is I'm going to take my car that I have to do a transmission oil change on. I'm just going to warm it up. I'm going to drain the fluid. I'm going to top it back off, check it with that dipstick a couple of times after I'm sure it's up to operating temperature, and then go drive it around again for another couple of weeks, Yeah, even another day would be nice. You're not going to get it all out of the torque converter. There's a way to drain the torque converter. It gets a little bit more in depth. So for the at-home person in their driveway, it's their own car, it's their mom's car, it's their dad's car, whatever they're doing. You just want to drain it out, put the cap back in, top it off with that Max Life stuff. Drive it around for a bit. It's better if you drive it a little bit longer, because then you're going to get more of a mix or a blend of the nastiness that's stuck inside the torque converter, and you'll be able to work more of that out. I like to drain it 2 times before I go ahead and pull the pan. This transmission does not need a conductor plate service. I looked, it's already been done. So the only service that it's getting, because it doesn't actually need anything other than clean fluid in the filter, is clean fluid in the filter. So I drained a gallon, topped it back off, drove it around. Drained a gallon, topped it back off, drove it around. Now I pulled the pan, so I drained about a gallon and a quart and a half or so, which is about what you're going to see in a W163. I'm doing the filter, and then I'm going to do the gallon and maybe quart and a half, based on whatever that little dipstick guy tells me. To do the oil change on one of these things, it's wonderful. You don't even have to jack it up. It's this bolt right there. So if you have an ML, you just drop down onto one shoulder and you grab that 15 millimeter bolt, I think it's 15, and put a pan down there and get a rag. Always have a clean rag with you, and then just crack it loose and wiggle that sucker out, let it drain off. The oil filter, you do that from up top right in the front. You're going to love it. It's fantastic. It's so easy. So the MLs are my favorite to do an oil change on, because You don't have to lift it up. You don't got to get out any weird oil filter wrenches or anything like that. You don't got to crawl under or around or anything. You just lean down under the bumper and you drain it out, and then the filter happens from the top. So in the next segment, we're going to do that filter. But before I let you go on this segment, I'm going to put that pan on now. So to put the pan on, I'm going to put on the new gasket and lube it up with some clean ATF. And then I'm going to put the new filter in. Make sure that it goes all the way up into the little holes here. And I'll use this old filter to show you. But you see there's an O-ring on it. And maybe you can see it. There it is. O-ring. You want to lube up that O-ring on your new filter. It goes up in this hole right here. And then you see little plastic tabs right there. Those little plastic tabs have corresponding slots. So this guy just lines up to the corresponding slots, and then it clicks in. Hard to do this while holding a laptop. I really need a better camera. There it goes. Anyway, that's all there is to it. When you go to put these guys back in, you're supposed to torque them down to, I think it's like 7 Newton meters. Most of you aren't going to have a torque wrench. This is why I wanted to make this video. The fastener looks like this. It's got this barrel with a hook on it, and the bolt goes through. Threads right on up into the aluminum housing. So, when you tighten it up, if you don't have a torque wrench, you want to get one of these little 1/4-inch drive guys. I'm going to put this laptop down so I can talk to you. Hang tight. Okay, so you want to make sure that your Torx bit is a high quality one. There we go. And if you don't have a torque wrench, use a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, and then just put these 2 fingers on it up against it. Thumb sticking out like this, all right? And then you're not going to reef it all the way down. You're just going to make it good and snug. Just good and snug with what you can do with a decently strong hand like this. And you're not going 100%, you're going about 70% when you just start to feel your tendons start to strain a little bit. And this will give you a pretty accurate gauge to that 7 Newton meter mark. It'll also give you a consistent gauge as you go around. If by chance you happen to have one of those unlucky days where you strip one of those suckers out, it's not the end of the world. You take that bolt, you go on down to the hardware store, you get one that matches it, that's 1.25 inches longer, and you get 2 nuts for it. And you pull that sucker on through, because it'll go on through in most of those positions, and then you put your double nut on it, use 2 wrenches, and you cinch those nuts together once you got it on there good and torqued correctly. Again, holding 1 nut with this, 2 fingers with this, get you your 7 Newton meters, and then you hold that first nut, grab the second nut, tighten it against the first nut. That will lock it forever and ever and always. And you just remember that it's that way the next time you go to do your oil change. So, anyway, Mercedes maintenance. And stop.